Alright, welcome to a whole new thing we're going to try and do here at Dork and Sync. I want to talk to you about a game that finally came around that made me want to play a wargame again. Just some quick background. I played Warhammer 40,000 from roughly 3rd edition with the Dark Eldar Black Templar box. I primarily ran with Space Wolves and Thousand Suns. Weird combinations, that's what I did. And I really grew to dislike the direction that Games Workshop went. I didn't resent them for it, I just didn't like it. And steadily I got priced out until I finally just couldn't afford the game anymore, and really I haven't been back. That was probably around 7th edition, if I was going to guess. The pandemic gave me a chance to kind of look into wargaming again, and I got interested, and 10th came along, and 10th is interesting, but it's so much. Oh my gosh, even with index cards and a couple of old units, it's so expensive. So eventually I ran into this. So this is one-page rules, and I'm going to do a couple of videos about this because I have not wanted to play a wargame like this in a long time. And this one not only made me want to play it, but allowed me to get my family members to play it too, which I've never been able to do before. So stay tuned, we're going to go a little more into detail with what it is, and then I've got some custom stuff I can't wait to share with you all. Thank you so much. NinjaBot out. Alright, so one-page rules. What are we dealing with here? So, one-page rules is a fantastically refined wargame rule set. They cut out a lot of the unnecessary, contradictory baggage and made a streamlined, easy to pick up and learn with a ton of variety and options available as you continue with it. The core game itself, the base rules, are about 15 pages in total for everything. That's madness. Then they have a reference sheet that is one page front and back. They have a free army builder that they update and makes for easy to read, easy to access. Like, it really is just, it's everything that you need to play the game is free. They have a Patreon, and I want to say it's like $10 for theirs or $5, one or the other. And they give you all of the advanced rules that they have, the campaigns they've made, and a bunch of free models if you like 3D printing, or paper models if you don't want to deal with that. Organization. An army, organization, and builder for free on their website. It's clean. It works. I cannot stress enough to you how much of a wondrous thing this is. You pick an army, you set your list up, make sure you're in the right edition, and bam, your hero units, your core units, what they are, what they have. Once you add them, you pick all their extra special stuff. It's refreshing. After having dealt with years of Lone Wars Army Builder, and then it not being free, and Games Workshop actively trying to stop people from making army builders, and then releasing one for 10th, and then suddenly, and now it's not free anymore, it's not going to be free. It's just, it's a company that made a product because the market needed an alternative, and I really think this is it. I have a lot more to show you. Stay tuned. Out. Alright, we're back. Let's dive into a little bit here. So, one-page rules is a D6 or 6-sided dice based game where 1 always fails and 6 always passes. So no matter what it is, you always have a chance to fail, you always have a chance to succeed, and everything that modifies it around it, there's nothing that will modify it out of that spectrum. The other thing about one-page rules is Warhammer and a lot of war games that are older, at least in my experience, have my turn, your turn. My turn, your turn. It's so cumbersome because it's entirely possible, especially in a large-scale game, to lose for 20 minutes before you do anything other than attempt not to die. So one-page rules has adopted, kind of like Infinity, and alternating. So I activate a unit, resolve that unit, you activate a unit, resolve that unit, and we go back and forth until everything is resolved. That makes it so that you're always kind of active, and it makes it feel less cheap and bad when something doesn't go your way in the first turn. So it's not like you have to take on everything in the army the first turn because you lost one dice roll. It's one thing. So I wanted to pull this up just to kind of show you so you can see as I'm explaining this. There are 2 stats on your character, give or take. But there are 2 stats that every character has. QUA, DEF. Quality, defense. In short, a lot of broad specking here. If you want to do it, it's a quality. If you want to stop it, it's a defense. If you want to hit something with your fist, quality. If you want to not take that wound, defense. You want to pass a leadership test so that you don't run away, quality. Defense is mostly just don't take that wound, but it's important, so it's in there. We'll get into some of the other stuff a little bit later. I just kind of want to give you an understanding of the game so that you can go into this, at least explore this with me with a little bit of context for all the stuff that we get to eventually. Relax. We'll get there in a minute. There's a lot to go over. We don't need to rush. Alright, so we're running on D6s. We're alternating turns. It's my army versus your army. So what's the setting? Well, we actually have 6 settings, and they all use a relatively similar system. So once you get the system down, it's really simple to swap from one to the other depending on who you're playing with and what you want to do. There's 2 for the futuristic. That's Grimdark and Grimdark Firefight. Then we've got 2 for the fantasy setting, the Age of Fantasy and the Skirmish. And then there's a Starship Combat and a Regiment one. Now, I don't have any experience with either of them, so I'm not going to be talking about them. But it's basically small scale, big scale fantasy, small scale, big scale sci-fi. It's good stuff. Covers your basics. If you like Warhammer, if you like Age of Sigmar, if you like Kill Team, if you like Warcry, we got you covered here. It's good stuff. So in an effort to keep these kind of brief and segmented, last thing I want to go over is this is like a core concept across all of the games. And there are little bits of special rules that adjust this, but nothing changes this core. You have 4 actions to pick from, unless there's a special one for a mission, which baseline is 4. You can stand still, which lets you shoot. You can move up to 6 inches. You can still shoot. You can move up to 12 inches. Now you can engage in melee up to 12, so anywhere between 0 and 12. And you can move 12 without the melee. So that gives you your 4 basics. And it doesn't sound like much, but it really works. There are fast, slow, and very fast, and they adjust that by a little bit here and there, but that's real specific to each army. The core understanding is those are your 4 actions, and it really, it almost sounds too simple, but in practice, it's really not. So I'm still working out exactly how I want this series to go and where we're going to go, but I know where we're going to get to. Because one of the reasons I started this is after finding this game and getting to play it with my spouse and with my kids and with my friends who had played war games in the past, I really fell in love with the Eternal Dynasty, and I made my own version of the Eternal Dynasty, kind of like a sub-faction following the lore they've established, because there's not a ton of lore, so there's a lot of room to make your stuff, and I'm really excited to share it with y'all in the future once we wrap all of the basics of this game up. I'm also hoping that once we get something set up, I can bring you guys some actual gameplay of these as we pit various armies against each other's. So I want to thank you for your time. This is NinjaBot. This is Dorkness Inc. Be good.